I should have said this at the beginning of my vlog, but hi, welcome to a pro-Palestine account.
Inside a nondescript case. Light leaked out along angular cracks of the artifact's surface, as though it had been crafted with the purpose to open along joints.
Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Happy start to a brand new vlog. That's not how I start these, but that's fine. I'm so tired. This week has been a week for so many different reasons. For work reasons, for writing reasons, and for world reasons. You know, with the atrocities happening in Gaza right now, life has just felt so unreal this week. So it's been a week. And on top of that, I released a book on Thursday, so woo! I guess that was yesterday, because today's Friday. Happy weekend! Today, I had my friends over for a little book launch for Little Luck, which is exciting. So officially Little Luck is in the world. I feel like it's only part way in the world though, because of the issues I've been having with Amazon this week. I have been trying. So it started off with me wanting to put this book up for paperback pre-order, but I waited a little bit too long to get it going. So there was only like maybe a week, not even, it was like 5 days of the paperback pre-orders being open, and for 4 of those days they weren't open in Canada. But as soon as I saw it open in Canada, I saw the absolutely abhorrent price that Amazon and most of the indie bookstores here had set for A Little Luck. Was $37 for a paperback. Literally no one's gonna pay that. Like, that's the price of a hardback fantasy book here in Canada. Like, I'm not about to charge that. And I investigated, because I had originally set the Amazon price at like 26 Canadian or something in the Ingram system, which I don't think would have been $26 for you guys to pay. It would have been like 23 maybe, just with like discounts and weirdness and trend. I don't know. For some reason, a lot of the platforms like Amazon had taken the US pricing that I had set through Ingram Spark and then calculated the Canadian dollar off of that, which is why it was $37. So it was a lot, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Immediately put in a price change, but that takes a while to go into effect. It takes like a week or something for it to go into effect through Ingram, and then again it would take even longer to get into the system. And then when I tried to do that, I realized that it would take effect the day after the pre-order was done. So today, October 20th. So I was like, well, I don't want anyone pre-ordering this book at that price. That is so ridiculous. So I told everyone, all my Canadian followers, do not buy the book. I will let you know when the price has dropped, because I don't want anyone spending $37 on my book. Absolutely not. I ended up trying to get it into Amazon early. So I was like, okay, whatever. It was like Sunday night, and I put it into the system and blah, blah, blah. Next day, I get an email from Amazon saying that there is errors in the book that need to be dealt with, specifically with page 12 and 13 on the PDF, which are these 2 pages here. These 2 bad boys, the maps. I was like, what's wrong? Like, it prints fine. It printed fine in a second story, and it's formatted in the exact same way. There's nothing wrong with this. So I was like, maybe it's just an error on their part. So I just like submitted it again, because I was like, it's an issue on your end. It's not an issue on my end. Next day, same email. So I was like, okay, I have to figure out what's wrong with my images. All the while being just gently mad because I didn't have this issue with a second story and the maps are formatted the same. Cue me having an entire week of fighting with Amazon trying to figure out, one, what the issue even is. Because even like today, I ended up like waking up this morning hoping I was gonna find an email in my inbox, because yesterday I spent like an hour readjusting the images, the 2 map images in Photoshop, and like fixing them and making the borders wider and like squishing my map in and doing this whole thing, and finally uploading it in again and sending it off. And I woke up this morning hoping that there was an email in my inbox being like, it's good and we're gonna put it in our system, blah, blah, blah. Today, woke up, same email in my inbox. There's something wrong. They want me to add like dimensions to my pages, which isn't possible in Atticus. And I like looked into what they mean by like specifically asking to adjust the trim size, and like the wording that they use specifically means to add a few millimeters to the trim size of my book on like the top and the sides. And I'm like, that's literally not possible to do in Atticus. So this is an impossible task. So I got on to customer service with Amazon today and I was like, here's my issue. This is what's happening. Please tell me if you can fix this. And like my main thing was the fact that this was fine for my previous book. It's formatted exactly the same. It's in the KDP system. Why is it not working for this book? And the guy was like, I understand, but it's not going to go through our system unless you fix this. What he told me to fix wasn't what they were telling me in the email. The email was asking like trim to be adjusted, and this guy Ash, he was like, okay, like the image of your maps, because he like pulled up my book on his side to like see what I was talking about, like the exact issue, so he could tell me what the issue was. He's like, your maps, like the image of the maps needs to sit inside the gray dotted line on the like on the previewer, so in case like if they have a weird misprint or something, like it won't get completely cut off or at all, because it's like within a safety. So I spent another hour today fixing the images again. Fingers crossed it works and it gets into the system tomorrow. A Little Luck is available pretty much everywhere. I am just struggling with Amazon right now. But now it's the weekend and I have nothing planned, thank God, from here on. I'm just gonna be holding up on my couch doing absolutely nothing. Tomorrow at 1, I have an online webinar where I'm watching like a chat with Samantha Shannon that's being hosted by McNally Robinson, the indie bookstore here, which will be very exciting and very fun at 1 o'clock. I do need to try get back on the writing game because my goal of like having a half draft by the end of October has completely gone out the window. I have not written a single word since I last wrote in a vlog. My brain just doesn't want to write right now, which is totally fine, but I would love to get the draft to like, I would love to like get into the groove of it so that I want to pick up the story, because I feel like I'm only like 1,000 words into the draft right now, so I need to pick it up more. And this is Airmail book 3, by the way. But this weekend, I have goals of reading some Palestinian authors. I actually have a couple books on their way to me physically. I have one book from Indigo. I did break my book buying ban specifically just for this, and then I'm right back on it. I originally bought Against the Loveless World and Minor Detail, 2 Palestinian author books from Indigo, and like the next morning, it's always the next morning with emails for me, I woke up to Indigo basically being like, no, Minor Details, like not available anymore. And I was like, what do you mean it's not available? So they like canceled that part of my order. And then I went back in later that day and it wasn't out of stock on their site. So I reordered it. And I haven't gotten a like not available thing. So I'm like, that's really sus, Indigo. We don't love these actions. I also have a bunch of books from the library. A bunch of books. I think I have 2. And you know, when that happened with Minor Detail, I went on my library site and I was lucky because I got in right before it started being like swept out of libraries and bookstores everywhere. But I picked up the actual physical copy of Minor Detail at the library. So it's a little novella. I would love to get to this weekend. And I also have this graphic novel, Squire, by Sarah, oh, I'm going to butcher these names, I'm so sorry, Sarah Alfagay and Nadia Shamas. So excited to get to this because I've heard only good things. And I also have a couple audiobooks as well. Actually, Libro FM, I think, has a deal right now. The publisher for Minor Detail put it up for free because the story with Minor Detail is that Adania Shibli, she was an award winner, like recognized award winner, and she was going to be given this award, but they took it away and have like canceled the award ceremony because of the conflict. Quote unquote conflict because of the Palestinian author, which is bullshit. So all of us are reading this right now. There's a readathon that I can't remember the details about that's happening like right now for this, but the publisher has put this book up for free so that people can access it. So Libro FM has the audiobook for free right now, which is where I've gotten it from. Pretty sure you can get it in a lot of places like the ebook for free as well, which we love to see. But I also have the audiobook for a couple nonfictions locked and loaded. I think I have one from the library and then one from Hobo. I can't remember which places I have audiobook credits from anymore because I have a couple like stocked. So I have those and I can't remember the name of them, but as I read them, I will. And why did I get them via audio? Because I can't read nonfiction physically. I need it to be like a podcast. So I need to listen to it because nonfiction and I just really don't jive. But this is so important and such an important issue that I need to learn about that I'm going to do it. So that's what I'm gonna be working on this weekend. These are my two main things. Obviously this graphic novel and this novella, but you know me, and I have nothing going on this weekend. I can read so much. So while I'm crocheting, I would love to listen to those because I'm currently trying to finish a project. I'm calling it my Winnie the Pooh sweater because as in my last vlog, I showed you that video or that picture of like Winnie the Pooh in his like fall cozy sweater. This is the vibe that I'm going for with this sweater. I'm trying to make the hood on it right now. Then I think I have the cuffs and the ribbing on the bottom to work on, and then it's done. But I need to do that. So while I'm crocheting, I'm going to be listening to those audiobooks, which is like the plan of like trying to learn and really like digest the information that I'm learning in those books. Best case scenario, I would find those books physically to also read so I could like tandem read because I love that double read, but I can't right now. It's not available at my library yet. I think I have it on hold, but I don't know when that hold is coming in. Anyways, so this is the reading plan for this weekend. Also did get a couple books from the library as well outside of that, which were in my holds. And I'm most excited about this one, but I'm also really excited about this one because this one is by an author who supports Palestine, and that is A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. You guys might remember this as one of the TikTok books that was going around. That was like a mystery, like no one knew who the author was because the author wasn't like listed or anything. But this is also an Indigenous author, so like I'm just excited to read this. I've heard really fantastic things about this fantasy book, so would love to get to this at some point. I also have this cozy little book, which is In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace, which has been just a hot commodity lately. And I think with all of this really intense literature that I'm going to be reading and all this history that I'm going to be consuming and all this education that I'm educating myself with, I'm gonna need a little bit of a cozy reprieve. So I might get to this as well. I don't know. I have a big old stack of library books here. I also would really still like to get to Night Film down there in my stack of books. So, you know, books all around, my friends. But this weekend, the goal is to educate myself on the issues in Palestine and read some Palestinian literature. Once the book, the other one that I mentioned, which is Against the Loveless World, comes in, I will be reading that as well. I've heard from some people that it is like the best book they've read all year. One of the best books that they've ever read ever kind of vibes. So that's what we're doing this weekend. We are educating ourselves. We are staying abreast of the issue. I did release a statement on my YouTube channel, on my community tab, if you saw it, that the Friday videos are a little bit on hiatus until I can like, you know, release something that I feel is helpful right now, because it just felt so wrong to be releasing a book video. It's like a haul or just talking about like book recommendations about stuff, and I'm just like, this feels so wrong right now to be releasing normal content. So I decided to just kind of go on a little hiatus for my Friday videos and just continue with my vlogs, because I talk to you guys in my vlogs. I keep it very real in my vlogs, and this is where I'm going to be actively reading Palestinian books and learning and talking to you about it. So I feel like these are more helpful videos to be releasing. So I don't know how long that hiatus is going to go on. It's definitely for this week at least, because it's currently Friday and I didn't put a video up today. So we'll see where that goes. It's also similar on my Instagram and my TikTok account, but my TikTok also is my writing specific content, like actually like selling my books. And this past couple days I've been dealing with the issue with Canada, with the Canadian price and stuff. So I've released 2 videos on that, trying to explain like, please don't buy my book. Don't buy it at this price, please wait. And then the next one was like, why this is taking me so long. So that's what I released there. But TikTok is my best place to go to find and go into my repost tab, because I've been reposting creators who are talking about this issue, and also Palestinian voices specifically who are talking about this issue, and resources and options that you can do. I know in Canada specifically, www.accesstoaid.ca is a really great place to go. It will, like, if you put in your like postal code, it'll set up an automatic email. You just add your name and your email, and it sends it out to all your reps and MPs and all that kind of stuff. So it's like helping get the word out like that. You know, in the States, they're calling for people to actually call their reps. And I mean, they're asking people to do that all over, like contact your reps and like demand that we do something about this genocide and this absolutely abhorrent level of just crime on humanity. It's like, you know, keeping abreast of the news and like what's happening and learning, because I know, like, even I went home last weekend and had dinner with mom and dad, and even watching the news, we were watching CNN And just watching like the rhetoric that they use on the news compared to what I watch on TikTok is astronomically different. Actually reaching out and learning yourself is so important. And I should have said this at the beginning of my vlog, but hi, welcome to a pro-Palestine account. And being pro-Palestine does not make me anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic at all. It just makes me anti-colonialism and anti-oppressor, which we should all be as fantasy readers, especially because we all read these books where we are rooting for the little guy. We are rooting for the people who are being oppressed. We are rooting for the people who are being victimized. So why are we being so silent now when it's actually happening in real time? That's the vlog. This has been the longest intro of life. I'm gonna stop talking now and I'm gonna go to bed. I'm a little riled up now. So I've been talking to you guys for like 23 minutes, but I'm gonna finish my drink, which is just Sprite and orange juice. Then I'm gonna go to bed and we'll start the weekend tomorrow. Welcome to the vlog. Hello friends, happy Saturday. It is technically Sunday because it is 2 a.m. Welcome. I wanted to pop in since I hadn't talked to you guys like all day, which is unfortunate for me because I just keep forgetting that I'm doing these vlogs sometimes on the weekend and I just get so into my weekend that it becomes 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't even spoken to the internet, my internet friends yet today. But I did some reading today. Did a lot of good reading today and I finally finished my sweater that I've been working on. It is exactly the vibe I wanted. It is so cozy. It is wonderful. It is just the epitome of cozy Winnie the Pooh. I'll show it to you tomorrow. Anyways, as I was doing that, I was kind of just, watching content, not really doing anything all that crazy today. I've gotten into a loop, as I said last weekend, I've gotten into this loop of like watching those like ghost hunter shows. For some reason, I have now watched all of the Ghoul Boys and all of Selena Spooky Boo and Call Me Chris's like joined videos, and I have now moved on to Sam and Colby. I know a lot of it is just fake for the internet, but for some reason like it gets to me. It gets to my little like anxious 9-year-old that still lives in my brain. So at night when it gets dark, like as soon as it gets dark, I have this like just like heightened anxiety toward it, even though I like love watching these stupid shows. They're so entertaining. But I've gotten into a loop of watching that and then watching either Keith from the Try Guys, he like eats the menu right from different restaurants. I've just been watching those as he's going through like to like completely differentiate the vibe as I like do other things to like, just not be freaked out before I go to bed, even though I know a lot of it is acting, little rabbit brain in my head. But today, as I was kind of like going through my content journey, I did read this absolutely exceptional graphic novel called Squire. I want to own this. Like, I'm seriously considering going to McNally tomorrow and getting a copy of this because I really want to own it. Yeah, I am on a book buying ban. I'm aware, but for Palestinian authors, I have already broken that book buying ban, so I was like, what if I just do that again for another one? And also the history book that I was listening to, because I kind of want to like re-listen to the chapters that I've listened to and like highlight and like make notes and stuff, because like as I was listening to it felt like I was back in school, kind of like learning, but like in a better way, because I hated history class in school. Like listening to it kind of like a podcast is really entertaining. Squire by Sarah Alfagi and Nadia Shamas. It says in the back here, so Nadia Shamas is a Palestinian American and Sarah Alfagi is a Jordan American illustrator. This, I think, is my favorite graphic novel I have ever read. Honestly, as someone who hasn't read a lot of graphic novels in her life, this is an interesting comment, because I find graphic novels not enough of a story, too short, like it's really beautiful but it just doesn't give me anything, that kind of a thing. There have been very few that have really worked. This one was perfect. This was absolutely perfect. It felt like I was watching an arc of a like Avatar the Last Airbender show, like an arc of episodes. It was perfectly done. This is favorite. This is getting 5 stars. Like I don't even have to run it through Copilot. It's getting 5 stars. And as a fantasy reader, as you guys know, I'm a fantasy girly. This actually started off as a fantasy graphic novel, like in concept wise, like it in the back of it, like it talks about, like there's a lot of notes and stuff about Squire. And when Sarah was originally coming up with Squire, she was originally doing it as a like high fantasy adventure of a young orc named Flea, and it kind of like morphed into what Squire is today, which is a story about a young girl named Isa, and she is living in this state where her people are absolutely hated upon, called cowards and looked down on, and she she sells like fruit at the market every day, and she comes into contact with these boys who just like, you know, are absolutely awful to her. And she goes home and she just like is filled with the sense of like she wants to be a hero, like she wants to get out and do things and go on adventures, and her family's like, no, you can't, because like we have everything that we need, we have enough, like you need to be grateful. And she's just like no, like haven't you ever wanted to be more? And they finally let her go off and join the army, essentially, because they're conscripting between the ages of 12 and 17, like for squire training, essentially, to become a knight. Her idea of a knight is like a storybook character, right? Someone that does like very heroic stuff. So she goes off, and this is told in such a gentle way, like it doesn't pull its punches from the realities of what's going on, but it also doesn't, it's not like a complete like war decimated story. You don't get on page atrocities, and it's beautifully told, and it's told like a fantasy story to me, even though it is contemporary. It's historical in that like in the flavor of it. It's very historical, and like, is it even historical? Like it feels historical because it's dealing with like knights, and like knights aren't a thing anymore. So it's like it's like a touch of fantasy just in like the style and the use of like the word knights, and it just and so she gets put into this whole group, and she hides her status of being Ornu, which is where she's from here, because she's a second-class citizen as an Ornu. She wants to be a knight. It's like the highest military honor in the once great Bayit Saji Empire. As a member of the recently colonized Ornu people, it's her only way to full citizenship. So she wants to, you know, do that for herself and her family. Once she like gets into training and gets through all this stuff, she becomes really like fierce, and she wants to do so good. And then she sees the reality of what war can be and what war is. She realizes that the greater good that this military regime is promising doesn't include her and her people. It was beautifully done. Like I need to own a copy of this so that I can reread it, because it was just like, I can't even explain to you guys, like as a fantasy reader, this read like a fantasy novel. Like it was so good, and it's not even fantasy. Like it's not even a fantasy genre. Like, so please read this. Please read it. Like if you love any genre ever, even if you don't really super love graphic novels, like I'm not a big super huge fan of graphic novels, pick up Squire. I think now that I'm like listening to this history book, which I think it's called The 100-Year War on Palestine. I'm gonna put a picture up if I got that title wrong. I have been listening to this, like making dinner. I was like listening to the introduction and the first chapter, like the first like segment, because it's split into 6 main events in the 100-year war that's happening on Palestine in their history. I was listening to it and I'm like, okay, so now that I have like this, I've read this, I think coming back to it after learning more, I will also see like more of the nuances from the Palestinian and Jordanian authors that were writing this. This was absolutely fabulous. What a day. But yeah, I also listened to a fair amount of that history book, but I didn't want to like go really, really fast through it. So I'm actually listening to it at 1.5 speed, which is just like normal talking speed. So like if I was listening to a podcast, right? And which is like half the speed that I usually listen to audiobooks at. I usually listen to audiobooks at like 3 times speed, but I really want to like digest this information. Very interesting book so far. The audiobook is fantastic. So love that. And then I stopped and just kind of watched more content for a bit, and then I really wanted to read something else that wasn't like continuing the history book because I didn't want to blow through it that fast. So I started listening to Night Film by Marissa Pessel, which I'm already also like physically reading. And this is a mystery book. I had no idea what this was going into it. I just assumed because there was a woman on the cover that it was like a woman's story. It's not really. So it's about this man. It's about this disgraced journalist who tried at one point to unearth the secrets of this incredible movie director who is like very mysterious and has like released so many different horror movies, so many like absolutely abhorrent horror movies that his movies have become like blacklisted and are only shown in like underground showings. They aren't like put on the mainstream in theaters anymore because they're that scary. Like they've caused people to have like medical incidents. Like there's something weird with this man and our main character, Scott. He's trying to, Steve, I don't know, something with an S. He was previously trying to like attack Cordova, essentially, who is this movie director. In doing so, his whole career was ruined. At this moment, his life is in shambles. He has a divorce, he has a little daughter, and he can't fall asleep unless he goes for runs. He's also an alcoholic. He goes for runs at like 2 a.m., which as a woman could never, you know, like men privilege. So he goes for runs at like 2 a.m. in New York, and he literally, at the beginning of this, there's a prologue, and he sees this woman in a red coat at 2 a.m. acting as though she's in distress. And he just like runs around her and laps because he just keeps like lapping the same block or whatever. He sees this woman who's clearly in distress, and on the first lap, he's so like entranced by her, and he's caught by her like red coat. She's like kind of like staggering a little bit, flitting in and out of like lights, and she's staying in lit areas. When he does another lap, like she's gone, but then he sees her on this like balcony or something very briefly, and again he doesn't stop, and then he does another lap and it's like he doesn't see her again. Then he goes into a subway tunnel and gets on a train, and as the train is moving, the girl comes down the stairs like at like full speed as though she's trying to find him, and then he doesn't see her again. And then the actual book starts with the apparent suicide of this young girl named Ashley Cordova, who is the daughter of this movie guy. So that like kickstarts our main character's interest in Cordova again, because he's like, oh, it's like his daughter is found dead or whatever, and then he like finds out a bunch of stuff about her and ends up realizing that the girl he saw that night was her, and wearing the exact same coat, exact same clothes, exact same everything that she was found dead in. And it's kind of like unraveling the mystery of that, which is so interesting to me because right now, like the pieces of this mystery are so scattered and so strange. I am enjoying this so far. It's very cool to actually read it along with the auditory stuff, because honestly, if I was listening to this exclusively, I would have DNF'd it within the first 10%, because I am not shitting you. The first thing you get after this incredible, like tense prologue where you see this like very sad, there's something clearly wrong with this girl and this man does nothing to help her. You just get like 18 pages of this random online site article released by the New York Times about Ashley Cordova and then her father. You get 18 pages of this life of this man, and it's like it's read to you, and so you're missing like the photo aspect of it and whatever, and like it's so bland and it's so boring to listen to because it's a New York Times article. Like, of course that's not going to be interesting, but literally like 18 pages of it. Just like, I would have DNF'd it if I was just listening to this, because like, what the hell? Like, you're not getting the actual coolness of this book without like having a copy of it. And even like in an earlier clip of this vlog, I showed like this transcript or something. So it's like multimedia. It's very interesting. I don't know. I'm intrigued by the mystery. Like, it feels like a lot of like the mystery shows, if you will. Anyways, that's the reading update of the day. Other than that, nothing else going on. Oh, fan-fucking-tastic read, Squire. I love this. Also, the art is absolutely beautiful. I am so in love with this art. Like, it's just, look at this. Look how gorgeous this is. Absolutely stunning read. Highly recommend. I also read a fair bit of a beta read today. One that I mentioned in many of vlogs past. I've been just shitting the bed on that one. And oh my god, I didn't tell you, most important part of today, besides the reading, A Little Luck is finally up on Amazon. The problems have been fixed. The price is exactly the price I want them to be. So you can go order it for the low price of like $20. I'm just so pleased with myself that they're up like that. So they're finally up. They're finally available. So please go buy it. I've had such a like quiet launch because of it's not a conflict, the genocide in Palestine. Because of that, I've released a statement on here and on my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. It was right like 2 days before my book came out, and I was like, I just don't feel comfortable talking and using my like normal content right now. So I just don't have like the drive, and I had such great momentum with the whole month of like sharing quotes and stuff. So I still have 2 videos like banked in my TikTok feed right now that haven't been released because I filmed them before, and there's like the final quotes that I was going to use for that like pick a quote challenge if you've been following me on my Instagram and my TikTok. But because of all the shit going on in the world, it just really didn't feel right to continue sharing my content, my normal content, because it felt so strange to just, you know, continue with day to day. And because of that, I just haven't been promoting my book. The only thing I've been talking about on my book is like explaining the issues that I've been having so that my readers don't think that I'm charging them $37 for a book and stuff like that. So like, it's just been such a weird launch too, because I've been waiting for Amazon to get up, and all my Canadian readers have been like on hold from not buying it. And I was also only on pre-order for 5 days. So of my 6 ebook pre-orders, 1 was canceled because of, it was like around the Palestinian stuff. And I was like, great, that's wonderful to know. There was 5 ebook pre-orders. And then as so far, only 5 paperback pre-orders that came in. So from the 70 plus that I had with A Second Story to the 10 so far that I know of with A Little Luck, it just feels really lackluster, which is partly because of me, I guess, because I didn't get the pre-orders in on time. I didn't ramp up a lot of the marketing, and it was just a really bad time to choose to relaunch this book, I guess. It's fine. It's fine because we're coming into like the fall holiday season. Everything will be fine, but it's all good. Everything is up. A Little Luck is fully out. Like it was until today, like I haven't felt like it wasn't fully out in the world because I was waiting on Amazon to get its life together and approve my book and put it in their system. Everything is okay now. Oh, and I didn't do any writing today. And I've been meaning to pick that back up. So it looks like NaNoWriMo is going to be a typical NaNoWriMo for me, but I'm hoping to get like a good chunk started on the manuscript before November actually kicks in. So it is currently the 22nd of October. So we have, what, 9 days left until the 31st? So I'm hoping to like kind of get going and like write at least maybe 10,000 words before the end of October in that story, so that I can just kind of get the ball rolling and like chip away at it through November. But I'm going to be a nano rebel, and I'm not going to really worry about word count. I'm just going to try get through as much of the story as I can, and then coast it into December to whenever I need to stop like actually writing the draft, and then Christmas. And then I have other things that I want to kind of work on that I'm not going to mention until they become important. But I really want to get moving and grooving on book 3 because I want to allow myself as much time as possible to edit it and make it a fantastic story and like really sit with it, because I feel like I didn't get that with A Little Luck because I rushed myself too much. But with this next release, I really want it to be another fall release because this next one is witchy, and I think having a witchy book is even better in the fall. But at this point, I also wouldn't mind if I pushed it into 2025. Like if I gave myself that extra time, if I need it. I really don't want to. Like the plan is to release it in September of 2024, but that's less than a year away now, and I don't have a draft written. So I don't want to do this to myself. I don't want to like speed myself through it like I did with A Little Luck. So we'll just have to see. Anyways, I'm gonna go to bed and I'll chat to you guys for tomorrow for Sunday. friends, happy Sunday. Welcome to 1 a.m. Jenna. Is it 1 a.m.? I don't know, my watch is dead. It's been dead for hours. Hello friends. Let me turn this way so you can actually see me in the light better. Hello! What a day! What a relaxing day. Did some reading today. The main goal for today was reading Minor Detail by Adania Shibli, because this readathon, the Reading is Resistance readathon on TikTok, started by a creator by the name of Hannah. I can't remember her handle. I'll put it on the screen. This started today, and I figured I have it. I might as well read this physical copy quickly so that I can get it back to the library so that if there are any more holds, other people can read it quickly. And I'm gonna wait for my copy to come in because I want to reread this. I'm still wrapping my mind around this. It is an exceptionally well done book. Exceptionally well done. Absolutely heartbreaking, absolutely gut-wrenching, so important, but also very interesting to read. So this is told in two parts with two different sides to one story, sort of. Not really. That's a weird way to explain it. So it starts with the focus as a third-person POV on a Israeli officer. He gets bit by something. A spider, a snake, we're not entirely sure. He gets bit by something one night, and it's like this ongoing theme of this festering wound throughout the entire beginning of this. As his, I kept calling it a battalion when I was talking about it at some other point in one of my TikToks or something, but is it a battalion? I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. His people, his group of men that he controls as an officer. I don't know the military jargon for that, but you know. His people come across this group of Bedouin people. They take the only woman in this group and like keep her captive and kill everybody else. And then bring this young girl back to their camp and treat her awfully, obviously. You know, war crimes. They rape her multiple times, and it ends with her being shot 7 times to make sure that she's dead as she's running for her life, as she's trying to escape. So it follows that, and then it follows 25 years later, a Palestinian writer, I can't remember her exact, she's called a Palestinian amateur sleuth on the back, but a woman in Ramallah tries to uncover some of the details. I think she's a writer of some kind in her job, I'm not sure, but she is a Palestinian woman living in occupied Palestine, and she's trying to figure out more about this murder that happened 25 years previous, and she is obsessed. She becomes fully obsessed with finding out more about this seemingly minor detail in the ongoing war, seemingly to everyone else, not to her at all. Sets her off on this journey to find more information on this, and it's her rumination on living in Palestine, having to cross all these borders and do all these things that to her feels so illegal. And on the back, actually, someone by the name of J.M. Quetzi calls her high on the autism scale. So it's a very interesting look at a person who has the mental, I don't want to say mental barriers, but like it's like she's put up these mental barriers for herself and she's pushing through them in this narrative, and she's freaking out like the whole time. But it's such an interesting concept to read through because it's this story of this girl who gets murdered. We learn nothing about her. It's this interesting introspective on these two extremely not absorbed, I wouldn't say, but like really internally absorbed characters and POVs to be coming from. It is a masterwork of literary fiction. Apparently it took Adania Shibli like 10 years to get this to its like honed knife point. Like every word matters. And what I find really interesting about this actually is that when you're going through the unnamed officer's stuff, there's a lot of like space and there's a lot of scene breaks, and it's very like lots of paragraphs and that kind of stuff. But when you get to chapter 2 and you get to our main character, oh, she has a name and I can't remember her name either. Does she have a name? Oh, does she have a name? I don't think she has a name. Oh, are they both unnamed? They're both unnamed. I just thought she had a name because it's a first person. But when we get to her POV, it is mostly a wall of text. And it's like this when she's really in her own head, which is such an interesting way of like reflecting someone's inner monologue and like coming across that. Like it's walls and walls of text. And then you'll sometimes come across a paragraph break, sometimes. And then when she's like actually doing stuff, when she's more active, there are little bits of paragraph breaks, and it's like very intentional paragraph breaks, because there's one here on page 70. It's a 1-sentence paragraph, which like so rare in these walls of text, and it is literally, despite that, there is no going back now. But yeah, like I want to reread this when I get my copy in the mail. I'm going to reread this and annotate it, because I think I need to reread this. I need to read this again. I need to absorb it again. It's a library copy. I can't annotate this, but all I wanted to do was annotate it, you know, like I wanted to like study it. This was fabulous, and you guys should join this readathon if you can find a copy of this. I believe it's running from October 22nd, which is today for me, to November 2nd. I could be entirely wrong, but go check out the readathon on TikTok, hashtag READINGISRESISTANCE, and pick this up. I also read a little bit of In the Company of Witches, which is something that I kind of want to do now as well, because I made it to chapter 6, which is not very far in, but I wanted to get a little bit further in tonight and like read a little bit of this to like calm my brain down from the day, because your girl did some writing today. I did a whole bunch of writing earlier today. I got like 2,400 words down. I'm so pleased with myself. I like started getting into the groove of it, and I think it's because like these are scenes right at the beginning of the book that I have had in my head for a long time. One of the scenes was making me giggle, because even though it was kind of like dire and action-packed, if you guys remember my diatribe on shifters, people who can shift into animal form, like do they keep their clothing or not, I have decided to have Zan be fully naked in this scene, and it just makes it a little bit sillier, which I think is kind of, you know, good for cozy fantasy in a way. And I handle it in a specific way, but it just made me giggle. Like, this man is fully naked. He's trying to help this poor woman who's knocked out in the dead of night, but in like a clearing behind her woods, and he literally is like having a conversation with himself. He's like, if I help her right now and she wakes up, like if I turn out of my panther form, because he's a were-panther, if I turn out of my panther form and help her and she wakes up as I'm doing so, she's gonna be more freaked out by the fact that I'm carrying her, a fully naked man, than the fact that she was just knocked out. Like, she's gonna be thinking that I'm trying to like take advantage of her or something. And he's like, I literally cannot do that. So he's you know, having a conversation with himself, and then he's also having a conversation with the wormling Locke, who's there, who's like trying to protect Mary and stuff. It was a great time. But yeah, so I wrote like 2,400 words today, and then I jumped and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna kind of call it quits for now and like do other things. And I like got my little keyboard out, my little like Bluetooth keyboard, which was such a great idea. And because I have terrible eyesight, I ended up upping the font size of my document really, really big so that I could see it. So I could like leave my computer down like by the foot of my chaise part of my couch. You guys saw it in the B-roll. And then I had my like little keyboard here on my lap, and I was like tipping away, and I was like, this is the most comfortable way I can write ever. I love this. Words were flowing like crazy, and the sound of the tick-tacking of the keyboard was excellent. I had a cozy gaming playlist in my ears. It was very fun. And then I picked it up later again because I was like, I'm kind of in the mood. I kind of want to write the next scene. I wanted to write the scene where Zanvi, like the catalyst scene, if you will. I wanted to write that scene. And so I got into it, and then I joined Amy's live stream, and I wrote 4,700 words today in total. I have now 5,700 words in this document. I told you guys earlier that I wanted to get 10K in the rest of October, and I've already got 5K now. Look at me go. I'm so happy, honestly. I am so pleased that this is kind of rolling, but I'm looking at like what I have planned, and I think like I'm gonna try, as I said in a previous vlog at some point, that I'm going to try and like let this be a little bit more of a discovery draft, because I haven't done that since I was like a teenager. I haven't let myself like discover writing, because I am such a plot person. I am a plot. Woo! So kind of like look and see what I have planned, and like kind of what scenes I want to do, and what scenes like seem smart, you know, to include, and like kind of move my way through the story and really just kind of let myself tell myself the story for the next month and a bit. That's gonna be my plan for NaNoWriMo. I'm gonna be a NaNoRebel. I'm not necessarily going to get the 50K in November, which I'm totally fine with. I just want to keep working on this draft and have it done before the end of the year. That is the goal. Have the first draft done before the end of the year so that I can spend 2024 making it pretty for you guys and for myself. Anyways, I'm going to read a little bit and go to bed, and I will catch you tomorrow for Monday. Hello friends, happy Monday. I apparently sound like this right now. What is happening? I did just run out in the cold to get my mail because I realized there was a book waiting for me in my mailbox. So very exciting. We're gonna unbox that together. But it's officially Monday, officially the end of this vlog. I hope you're all doing well. Let's unbox this first. Why not? Oh, it's one of these stupid ones. I hate that. I hate when it's like the envelope. Oh, but it's got a thing on it. It had a thing. Anyways, okay. Ooh, beautiful. It's stiff and cold and it's wrecked to shit on the bottom, but that's fine. That's the most annoying, especially when you pay for a full price book, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't really mind that much about my books being damaged. I'm not a perfectionist. Anyways. It is Against the Loveless World by Susan Abdulhawa. Probably pronounced that wrong, but I am intrigued and excited to get into this. Apparently it's absolutely heartbreaking, so ready for this. Anyways, on the topic of Palestinian literature, we've had a great weekend, a great reading weekend. Read 2 Palestinian books, got progress done on the nonfiction 100-Year War on Palestine. Also, if you guys want apparently a good source, apparently a good book, I haven't read it, so I can't actually say anything to it, but I did go get it. It is free on Audible in Canada for sure, and potentially in the US. It is The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine by, oh gosh, I'll put a picture here. That one, it came up on my TikTok feed today, was being talked about by Meg from Meg's Tea Room, the Cozy Fantasy Lady, and someone in her comments said that it was free on Audible, so I ran. So I now have the audiobook for that one as well. Lots of nonfiction on my docket for the rest of the year, which is totally rare for me and so new because y'all know I'm not a nonfiction girly, but I like learning. And I like keeping abreast of issues in the world. So I think having these like podcasts read to me will be a better choice. Yes, 2 wonderful books read this weekend in totality. I did also make some progress on Night Film by Marisha Pessel. I am 130 pages in or something. I also got, I think, 130 pages into a cozy book that I can't remember the name of now by Aurelie Wallace. In the Company of Witches, there we go. I read a lot of that last night and I am really enjoying that one as well. But the focus this weekend was these bad boys. And again, I recommend both of these books so freaking much for different reasons, but for also a very similar reason that you guys should be reading Palestinian authors right now. All forms, so nonfiction, fiction, and, you know, graphic novels and fantasy and speculative fiction and all that kind of stuff, just to support and learn and enjoy, you know? So Squire, I think, was my favorite of the weekend because I absolutely adored this and I loved every single second of it because the art is gorgeous. As I said, kind of reads like an Avatar The Last Airbender episode arc, multiple episodes, like 8-episode arc kind of a thing. Was absolutely amazing. And I say it reads like Avatar The Last Airbender because it feels like it could be enjoyed by younger kids as well. I don't know. It feels like it could also be enjoyed by YA lovers, YA fantasy lovers specifically. It could be enjoyed by regular fantasy lovers like myself. It could be loved by contemporary graphic novel lovers too, because it's got like an adventure in it and it is like, there's no magic or anything in here. It's not fantasy at all. And it could be enjoyed by history lovers. Like, I think anyone and everyone would absolutely adore this graphic novel. It is so wonderful. Yes, I'm going to be getting my hands on this. I am going to make an order in 2024 of a bunch of books and this is going to be on that. 100%. Absolutely adored. And again, minor detail, I have a copy coming to me and I can't wait to reread this and like annotate it and really dig into it again because it was just such an experience to go through for the first time. I think this deserves to be read over and over and over. Like, there's a few books out there. The one that's coming to mind is literally anything by James Joyce. Why James Joyce, I couldn't tell you. But I know like his books are meant to be read over and over and over again because if you read it once, you're not going to get every little meaning that he's put in there. And I feel like this is almost on that level because not as convoluted as James Joyce, but like the level of care that Adania Shibli has put into this. Like, it took her 10 years to get this beautiful little piece of literature out in the world. And I think it deserves to be read more than just 1-2 hour sitting by myself, you know? So we'll be getting to this again. Ooh, what a weekend of reading. I am so pleased with the writing that I got done this weekend as well. Oh my God, my book launch was Friday with my friends. A Little Luck is officially out in the world. Please go buy it. Please go read it. It is on Kindle Unlimited if you are a Kindle Unlimited reader. It is available in ebook form. It's less than $10. I promise you, it's so worth your time. and it's available now in paperback everywhere. I did check today on the Amazon Australian site, and something is whack with Australia's pricing, because it is $40 on the Australian site, even though I dropped my pricing to, I think it's $21 for Australian pricing on my end of things. But Amazon, for some reason, hikes up Australian prices. Couldn't really tell you why, but there's apparently an Australian tax. I Googled it and I looked on Reddits and stuff like that, and it's just a thing apparently through Amazon. So I do apologize to anyone in Australia who wants to read my book. Best bet is probably ebook, because then that's like immediate download kind of a thing. There's no print costs or shipping costs or anything like that. I have been talking long enough. This vlog is ages long. I will catch you guys in another video very, very soon. Stay kind, keep on reading, and keep educating yourselves.